We've been hearing a lot about Minka Fitzpatrick over the course of the past year, and I understand. He was a ball-hawking, playmaking defensive back who played in a variety of roles, outside corner, some safety, slot. You did a lot of different things with him at Alabama. Played for a high-profile program, played on national championship teams, was a guy that went to a program where Nick Saban knows his defensive backs, and furthermore, this is a guy that was able to come in and play and contribute right away, which is rare for those Nick Saban defensive backs. So I can understand why there was a lot of hype and a lot of buzz about him. And all along, you've seen throughout the whole draft process, a lot of people start off with Minkah's top 5. Maybe the Browns should take him at 4, but easily a top 10 pick. But all of a sudden in recent weeks, especially it felt like once we got post-combine, the reality kind of shifted and changed a little bit, where it's now assumed that Derwin James will go as the first safety in this draft, and more likely than not, it will be Denzel Ward, potentially not Minka Fitzpatrick, who ends up being the first corner taken. And when I look at Minka, it's kind of hard for me to evaluate him. Somewhat similar to Jalen Ramsey, although I felt like Jalen Ramsey was a superior prospect coming out of Florida State. But it was evaluating him based off of, is he going to be a safety or is he going to be a corner? Now, I personally, and I was wrong, thought that Jalen Ramsey had better upside as a safety. And that's where I felt like he should play. Obviously, in Jacksonville, he's been out at corner, and he's been an absolute stud. And I didn't doubt that he could be a stud, because he was a stud. I just always felt like he could be better as a safety than as a corner. And like I said, I was wrong. So I use Jalen Ramsey as kind of a template to try and consider where I feel like Minka Fitzpatrick best fits at the NFL level. And I graded him as a safety, but I'm not sure that that's his best fit, but I'm not sure corner is his best fit. Like, the way he was utilized and deployed at Alabama showed off his versatility, but it feels like in a way hurt him a little bit in terms of being able to evaluate him for a true position at the NFL level. When you look at him, for a safety, he's got okay size. He's 6'1", 200 pounds. That size plays much better at corner. He ran in the mid-4.4s in the 40 at the combine. That speed and quickness, I feel like, plays better at safety than it does at corner, but it can make it at corner. But it plays better at safety. He's a pretty smart football player. He's got high football intelligence, very good instincts and awareness, and frankly, that translates to either position, but you might give a slight edge to safety. He's a solid run defender. He's not going to come up and stuff it, quite as much as, let's say, a Derwin James, but he's a willing run defender. He shows some feel to be able to plug the gaps, but not the strongest, most physical type of guy. So he misses some tackles and can get engulfed at times. He's good in zone coverage. I feel like he's a little bit better, honestly, in zone coverage than he is in man coverage. What concerned me about him in man coverage is that he had a tendency to give up a little too much space in off man and would allow catches in front of him that he didn't need to allow. And sometimes that could be based off of the responsibility of the system. Don't give up the big play deep and blah, blah, blah. But he was a good enough athlete and a good enough talent where he could have played guys tighter. And that worried me a little bit about his confidence and his ability to defend wide receivers man-on-man outside. Also, when you look at his film and watch him at the combine, I felt like he was a bit stiff in the hips, not horribly bad, and still fluid enough in the hips to play corner, but it was like it came and went. Like sometimes he looked much more fluid and natural, changing his direction, changing his body motion than other times. It was kind of weird. I didn't really understand how that would kind of come and go, but it did. So I feel like in that way, he's a little bit better suited to play safety. His ball skills, though, play anywhere. He had 6 INTs in 2016. He had 9 in his career, including 4 of them as pick sixes. So this is a guy that can make plays on the ball consistently, and not only that, once he makes the play on the ball, he's a threat to take it to the house. So he's a guy that can provide some punch as a difference maker, as a momentum changer, as a game breaker, as a defensive back. And again, that plays at corner, that plays at safety. It doesn't really matter. What does concern me, though, is that while he's a willing tackler and he can deliver a little bit of a pop, he's really inconsistent getting squared to his target. He misses more tackles than you would like to see, which makes me feel like he's a better fit outside at corner than he is at safety. But he is a guy you feel like you could see the potential of in today's NFL, where 60 to 70% of the damn time you're running hybrids or you're running a situational defense anyways, you're not in your base. You have to wonder how much it really matters for a guy like Fitzpatrick if he's not a true outside cover corner, he's not a true free safety. Maybe it doesn't matter that much. Maybe it's depending on the situation, what you want to do. He can do all those different things at different times. I do feel like NFL teams are catching up a little bit and starting to worry about what's his best position and what exactly his upside is. I do know this, that he brings immediate value as a high-end special teams player. That's beyond question. He's shown some upside as a blitzer as well. Everything you hear about him is he's another one of those alpha dog types. He's a team leader. Nick Saban obviously trusted him, and whenever you see what Nick Saban has to say about him, it's always glowing. You have to think that Minkah is one of Nick's favorite players over the past several seasons, and for good reason, because Minkah is a stud. So it comes down to, where do you feel like he plays? Is he primarily a corner? Is he primarily a safety? And the truth is, to me, it depends on the team. For some teams, he might make more sense as a free safety. For other teams, he might make sense as an outside corner. There may be some teams that think he's primarily a hybrid type of guy where his primary role is in the slot, which probably takes him out of top 10 talent consideration. Now, me personally, I think Fitzpatrick is a very good prospect. I do not think he is a great prospect. I do think, regardless of what my raw grading says down below, that's kind of broken anyways, he's a top 20 player in this draft. He is a first-round talent. It just does not surprise me that there's more talk about him going between picks, let's say, 9 to 14, where a couple of months ago there was talk about him going potentially picks 4 through 6. I feel like 9 through 14 makes more sense. I feel like 9 through 14 is the much more likely reality, and it is more appropriate based off of the level of talent and the level of prospect, especially with some of the uncertainty that comes with him. Then you have the concern of a lot of the Alabama defensive backs. How do they really translate to the NFL? And it's a fair question. Some do, and quite a number have not. But he's a high-quality, high-character kid. Decent athlete. Can do a lot of things on the field. I won't bet against him. I think Derwin James is a better prospect and a better player. But I think Minkah will make somebody happy like the Packers or the Redskins or somebody like that when they take him in the first round.